Hello, I'm Eddie White. I'm a native Washingtonian. I'm the eldest of 4 siblings, born and raised in the Deanwood section of D.C. I attended Spingarn High School and eventually graduated from Howard University. I'm an Air Force veteran, and for the last 12, 15 years of my life, I've been an entrepreneur for the most part. I worked at Howard University as an educational coordinator for the Howard University Drug Abuse Institute for 20 years. I then transferred over to the faculty side, and I stayed there for 11 years. But in 1990, I opened a business called Training Resources Associates. We provided continuing education for allied and behavioral health professionals. That was really a high point in my life. I really enjoyed doing the work. We got a lot of good notoriety for the work we did. And then in 2012, I took what I thought was going to be my final retirement. I looked around and I gained a few pounds, so I decided to join the YMCA just to work out. About 3 months into the class, the instructor approached me about getting certified. And at first I said, I'm not going to do it, to become a senior trainer. But I wound up becoming a senior trainer for 4 years. The only reason I left the Y was because it was time to downsize, sell my house, and I moved to a condo. My wife and I moved to a condo in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. And a few years ago, I started noticing all of this music I had, all of these clothes I had that I'm not wearing and not listening to, because I really didn't have the equipment to deal with LP wax. And I found out that that is a demand item at this point in time. So I've toyed around with the idea. So I'm taking this photo shoot to introduce you to my company called Junior Butch Enterprises. And that is a combination of what everybody called me growing up, either Junior or Butch. My nieces still call me Junior to this day. Everybody in my family still calls me Junior. So I decided to combine Junior Butch, and we have Junior Butch Enterprises. Our first venture is going to be something called Oldies But Goodies. We are an LLC, and we are promoting vinyl LPs, not limited to jazz, but I'm a jazz entrepreneur, but I'll talk more about that later. I'm going to share a few things with you. One of the things I'll share, it wasn't guaranteed that I got to this point in life. I had a few self-imposed setbacks. When I came out of high school, I was very immature, loved what you call weed now, but we were doing that in the 50s. I came to high school in 1959, and I started college that year. I was on the football team, doing a lot of weed, doing a lot of partying. And pretty soon, I was out of college on suspension. And I did a number of things. I drove a truck. The military caught up with me, and the Army was trying to induct me, but I got into the Air Force instead, and went into the Air Force, came back, and just got basically into the world of work. In the meantime, I did get married. I got married in 1966. I just celebrated my 58th wedding anniversary in January. So in the meantime, I was watching my wife progress. She graduated from college on time. She got a master's degree on time, and I was still basically working but playing around a lot. One of the best decisions I ever made in my life was to go back to college. Once I did that, everything started opening up for me because I got exposure to a lot more people, started honing in and focusing on what it was I wanted to do. I was told that I was a natural teacher, a natural instructor, and by a series of events, I wound up on the faculty at Howard University. One more setback, and part of the setback piece. I graduated in 59, as I mentioned, from high school. I should have graduated in 58. When I went to my 60th anniversary, a young lady that I didn't know was sitting next to me, and she stood up at the end of the program, which was a beautiful program. A lot of folks have passed on, things of that nature. And she said, I'm very proud to sit here with Mr. Eddie White, who has the distinction of being a member of 2 graduating classes, 58 and 59. So I'm saying this lady just broke my bubble. But I was able to turn that into a joke and make the fact that it took me 4 years to come out of high school an advantage. And I said, because that taught me never to play around like that again. So when I went back to college, it was no problem. I basically breezed through, and it opened up so many avenues for me because I was starting to soak in information and check out folks that were around me that were doing things. We'll pick up on the next episode shortly. Well, I'm glad to be sitting here today telling parts of my story. I'd like to revisit going back to college. That was a great experience for me because I'm kind of a people person. I've never had problems dealing with people, fitting in with situations. So in my return to college, I was about 10 years behind my original class, but that did not bother me because I picked up on a whole new set of people that were much younger than I, and some of those folks are still friends to this day. So going back to college was a great experience because I got to sample another group of people with a different worldview than we had when I came in. So I'm making some comparisons. For instance, when I took a stat class and the instructor asked for a square root number, I started figuring and taking out my pencil, and everybody had the answer in 1.5 seconds. Well, everybody had a calculator. We didn't use calculators when I was there the first time. But anyway, one of the most stunning things that happened to me was about 2 weeks after my graduation, a guy I never knew walked into my office and said that he was opening a business called Training Resources Associates, and he heard I had expertise, and he wanted me to consider partnering with him, which I did. It didn't work out too well with this guy. He had a great idea, but once we got into the work, he basically changed a bit and decided that we didn't get along, so he actually turned the business over to me. Now, one salient thing about this point, I met this guy about 2 weeks after I graduated from Howard, and we were well into negotiating our arrangement. He said, oh, by the way, Ed, you do have a degree, don't you? I said, of course I have a degree. I had a degree for a whole 2 weeks, but it was very, very good timing. I took that lesson. One of the things I learned about it, it's never too late to do anything. I'm 83 years old today. I'm sitting here now going into a new business, very excited about it. I'll see how it goes. I believe in the product because I'm a product of this music, which ranges from jazz, Afro-Cuban rhythms, fusion music. I like rap music, and I'm an avid walker. What does that got to do with it? I'm walking home the other day from my morning walk, and I run into a lady, and she said, somebody told me you have a new website, Ed. I said, well, it's not live yet. I said, I'm selling, marketing vintage LP albums. And I just casually said, I sure wish I had bought some Beatles albums when I was young, because in the research, the Beatles albums really sell well. And this lady, this black woman, threw me for a loop. She said, I have every Beatles album that was ever made, and I'd like to broker those sales through your business. So I didn't go into this thing anticipating anything, just a belief on what I like to do and put in an effort to it and learning some of those things I learned when I didn't pay attention to detail. And this is all part of my prep for the business. We have not gone live yet, so I'll see you on the next episode. At this stage of my life, I do a lot of reminiscing. And one of the reasons I do a lot of reminiscing is because I go to a lot of funerals. And as a matter of fact, I'm speaking at a funeral tomorrow for a guy that I've been friends with since the 8th grade. And I've done a couple of those things. And I decided on one funeral that I was asked to speak at to look up the definition. I said I'm going to look up the definition of the word adolescence. Because when you reminisce, generally you're thinking about your youth and the things that shaped you and brought you to where you are. So I use that definition when I'm asked to speak at funerals. But by going back there, I look at myself then. I don't have a lot of regrets, but one thing you have to realize is that people say life is a game. It is a game. You have to learn how to play it, but it's a very serious game. It's not a frivolous game. I'm a very lighthearted person. I have my friend Lawrence, who's backstage someplace. He always has told me, you should have been either a coach, an attorney, or a comedian. So all of the humor, all of the music, all of the attention to detail is what I would incorporate if I could go back to my adolescence. But it's all good. Life is for the living. I'm still here. I'm glad to be here. And I'm glad to introduce my product to the world. As I mentioned earlier, the name of this business is Oldies but Goodies, and the name was generated because I was looking at all my wax LPs that I had, and I didn't want to do eBay. I wanted to put a story behind it. Everything that I sell had some meaning to me because I walked into a store one day and purchased it because that's what I wanted for whatever reason. That idea that vintage concept has now expanded to actually including vintage clothes. Now, I have a suit on right now that is 30 years old. It didn't go out of style. It didn't go out of style for me, and it shows me that everything you do means something to you, how you carry yourself, how it affects you, what it means to you. So we used to have an expression called a clothes horse. Well, I now basically wear action wear for the most part, but some things I have just never let go, and I still continue to wear them. I'll mix something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, as they used to say. But right now, we are expanding into the concept of vintage books. I was approached by my attorney who said he had a client that wanted to talk to me because his client had vintage photos. And he is a heralded photographer. He's got a lot of critical acclaim. I don't know how much commercial acclaim he has. But all these things fit for me because art, poetry, clothing, music mean a lot to me, for real. You know, it's not just a fad. It's something that I've always enjoyed. Two guys in my wedding 66 years ago had a hit record out soon after I got married. There was an R&B group called The Moments, and one of them is deceased. The other one and I are still good friends. So all of this vintage enterprise concept is for real for me. It's who I am. It's what I do. It's what I'm about. And I hope to see you guys later on down the road. Take it easy. One of the things that I have confidence, one reason rather I have confidence in our business is because I'm very serious about it, and I am very honest about what I'm saying and what I sell. A friend recommended that I contact an individual with a lot of knowledge about vintage albums, particularly jazz albums, before I even started this concept. So this guy and I had many sessions where we just talked about the nature of vintage jazz, foundation music that jazz represents. And I started understanding that I would have to do a lot of research before I put this product on the market. So I will recommend to my potential audience that they use the same research site that I did. That will be part of my narrative as we explain ourselves as to who we are, that you should do the same thing I did. Research these costs, make sure these costs are honest. It was a clothing store called Sims at one time, and Sims had an anthem. An educated consumer is our best customer. So you should trust me because I'm a trustworthy person, but you should also trust your research. So research what we sell. If I put a price out, I'll give you a website that you can check out. If our album is in pristine jacket, is in pristine condition, that's the sale price. If it's not in pristine condition, I will tell you. If you want the music, you'll get it at a price that's it's at market value, and it's a fair price. I just live by that anthem because it's too much energy to be sneaky and deceitful, as far as I'm concerned. So I live like that for real, and check out our products, and I look forward to seeing you down the road. Okay, hello again. I'm winding down this narrative by just giving you kind of an overview about how I feel about what I'm doing today. This is my first rodeo in the social media arena. I'm working with a gentleman named Shay Brown, who I have some background experience with. He was actually a consultant that I hired when I was running my business, Training Resources Associates. I was just very impressed with the way he brings things out to an audience that makes you think. I'm sitting here in front of his camera, and he's made me feel very at ease. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this in terms of being photographed, being recorded. He's obviously given me some prompts, but I am glad to present myself through this medium, which is Media Expertzy. That is the name of the company that is photographing me, and that is the name of the company that you will see my image come through as we go forward with this experience. So I'm very confident that I've got good support, excellent advice, and I think we have an excellent product. Thank you again.